Okay, so let's dive into a story from a virtual world where the stakes, well, they're about as real as it gets. We're talking about an item that was never supposed to exist, a longtime player who got their hands on it, and a scandal that just rocked a multi-million-dollar online economy right to its core.
And it all kicked off where these things usually do, right? Not in some big press release, but with just a single post on a player forum. One person's discovery lit a match. And this quote, man, it just perfectly captures that initial shock that went rippling through the entire community.
Now, to really get why this was such a massive deal, you have to understand what makes Entropia Universe so different. This isn't just a game, it's a full-blown, real cash economy. The money inside the game, called PED, has a fixed exchange rate to the US dollar. That means everything you see here, items, skills, you name it, it all has tangible, real-world value.
And here's the thing, the way this all came out is a huge part of the story. This wasn't some developer announcement. Nope, it was the sharp eye of another player who just knew something was very, very wrong.
So you've got this player, McCormick, and he spots a well-known veteran of the game, a guy named DannyO, doing something weird. He was just using this Mind Force chip over and over for what seemed like no reason at all. McCormick got curious, so he used an in-game scanner to check out DannyO's gear, and what he found was, well, it was literally impossible.
The item he found wasn't just some super rare or powerful weapon. No, this was on a whole other level. It was something a regular player should never, ever be able to have.
The item was called a prototype regeneration field chip, and this slide just lays it all out plain and simple. A normal item, it costs you real resources to get a balanced effect. This prototype chip, though, it cost practically nothing. One mind essence, which is worth pennies, but it gave what one commentator called an ungodly amount of skills. We're talking tens of thousands of dollars worth of character progression for pocket change. And that's because this wasn't some lucky drop or a rare crafted item. It was a developer tool. It literally belonged to the Planet Arcadia team, the people who build the game. It was never, ever meant to be in a player's inventory. So you can imagine, once McCormick posted what he found on the forums, the whole community just exploded. The developers, they didn't really have a choice. They had to step in, and they had to do it fast.
As the forums were just going wild with accusations and all sorts of conspiracy theories, the game's main developer, MindArc, made a move. Within hours, an official staff member posted this statement. They locked the account right away and kicked off a full investigation.
Now, after they finished their investigation, MindArc didn't just quietly ban the player and move on. They actually released a surprisingly transparent report and put new systems in place to make sure this could never, ever happen again. And the punishment was, well, it was severe. DannyO's account got locked for 5 months. But here's the real kicker. MindArc's investigation found a second account, one nobody even knew about, doing the exact same thing. Both of them had every single skill they gained from that chip reset all the way back to 1. The item itself was totally destroyed, and they built a new system so a dev item could never be traded to a player again.
So, the hammer came down, but the debate in the community was just getting started. Was the punishment actually fair? Two of the most prominent Entropia YouTubers, Serial Overdrive and Stevie B, had very different ways of looking at it. So, on one side, you've got Serial Overdrive. He basically argued that MindArc's response was a success. He saw the punishment as a fairly heavy hand, and he gave them credit for being so quick and strict. His main point was that since the player only used it for himself and didn't crash the economy selling skills, the punishment fit the crime. But then, on the other side of the coin, you have Stevie B. For him, this was a massive breach of trust, a question of player responsibility. He said getting a developer item was like being handed a magic ring from God to win the lottery. It's just a cosmic-level unfair advantage. He felt that if you really loved the game and respected the community, you had a duty to report it, not abuse it. And that really gets to the heart of the whole debate, doesn't it? Was this just the system working like it was supposed to? A cheater gets caught, gets a fair punishment, and we all move on? Or was this something deeper? A moral failure, a betrayal of the thousands of people who've invested real time and real money into this world?
This whole scandal, it really just throws a spotlight on the blurry lines you get in a game with actual financial consequences. It makes us ask some really tough questions about what's fair and what's ethical in these digital spaces.
To put this into perspective, Stevie B told this story. Another player once accidentally offered him an item that was worth 80,000 PD more than his own in a trade. That's 8,000 US dollars. He could have just clicked accept and walked away with a massive profit, no questions asked. But he didn't. He pointed out the mistake,
because for him, protecting the game and its players was way more important than his own personal gain. And that leaves us with this big, thorny question. When your actions in a virtual world have actual, real-world value, do real-world ethics have to apply? Where do you draw the line between finding a clever advantage and using an exploit that damages the entire system for everyone else? In a real money universe, that's a question every single player has to answer for themselves.